Goodbye YouTube, how's it going everybody? I have a quick update for y'all before I talk about the team preview. For those of you who care a little bit about my personal life, things have actually become a whole lot less hectic the past like 2 or 3 days. Things are more in control now, which means I actually don't have to stop posting for y'all. Although I might not be posting daily anymore, I'll still post constantly enough to the point where I'll be really active on this channel. So yeah, there's some good news for y'all, unless for some reason you hate my uploads. Then I don't know why you're subscribed to me or why you're watching this. But yeah, I'm here to stay. I'm sorry. Anyways, I got this really good Enya battle I had against my boy Mizticall. I'll leave his channel link down in the description. Now, before anybody says, oh, you have a Charizard, why don't you have a spinner? Well, the general idea behind the team was that I wanted to use Charizard, Sock, and Scarf Tauros because I saw them on an RMT, sorry. Although I didn't like two Pokemon on there, so I switched them out. So I don't take full credit for this team, although I just threw in Caracasa and Mischievous just to add my own touch into them. And if you guys want to see the RMT, I'll leave a link to it down in the description, so you guys can go check that out. But looking at threats on Mike's side of the field, Zangoose and Primeape are really the two main things I have to watch out for, because with Primeape having U-turn, he can easily U-turn on out into anything I switch in on his Primeape to take a hit from, and they could just get really bad for me. But I thought that he more than likely would want to lead off with the Golurk, which is why I'm actually going to be leading off with my Sock, but he ends up leading off with the Primeape, which is actually not too bad for me, just because I know the only things on his team to take a close combat are going to be the Golurk and the Vileplume, and because it is the very first turn of the game, there really is no reason to predict. But I know that Mike is not going to bring in the Alomomola and more than likely bring in the Vileplume or the Golurk to take the close combat, which is why I'm actually going to go for the Ice Punch, and Golurk just dies. Now with Golurk gone, that means his Stealth Walker is gone. He has nothing else on his team that sets up any form of entry hazards, which means if I get up my own hazards, I'll be able to have a pretty good advantage in this battle. Not to mention that now my Charizard can basically switch in and out as much as it wants, and from the looks of his team, Charizard would definitely have some good use in this battle. So he's going to bring in the Ampharos, and I don't really want to take a hit, and I'm thinking that maybe he wants to go for a Reflect or Light Screen, so I'm just going to switch into my Roselia, as he actually ends up going for the Volt Switch. So I'm thinking maybe he's choice, because those are normally the only types of Ampharoses I see that carry Volt Switch. As he Volt Switches into the Zangoose, I do not want to take a Facade, so I'm just going to switch directly into my Caracasa, as he actually ends up going for the Night Slash, expecting me to bring in my Mischievous. Now, my Mischievous is actually not the normal Max Defense, Max HP Mischievous. It is actually a Sub-Nasty Plot Mischievous, so that's going to come to play later on in the battle. And I thought that he would just take me out with the close combat this turn, but it turns out that he just switches directly into Ampharos, so I'm thinking maybe he doesn't have the close combat, which is actually kind of good for me, and this kind of comes to play a role later on in the battle. But I really wanted to go for the Stealth Rocks, although I need to get some damage on that Zangoose because it is a big threat. Plus this Caracasa is Adamant Max Attack, so Aqua Jet would have done a decent bit of damage to it, but I get off a good 40% on the Ampharos as he knocks me out with the Volt Switch. And yeah, the crit with Night Slash doesn't matter, because even at full HP he would have been able to knock me out. As he Volt Switches into the Primeape, I'm going to switch directly, well, I'm going to bring in my Tauros, I apologize, and I'm Scarfed. And thankfully Mike makes a huge mistake, leaves in his Primeape, doesn't expect me to be Scarfed, and I'm able to clean knock out the Primeape with an Adamant Stabbed Double Edge. Now the crit didn't matter whatsoever, because the minimum damage Double Edge coming from Adamant Tauros to Primeape is actually 100%, which is a bit funny. But he's going to bring in the Alomomola, and I thought that he would just want to go for a Wish, so I switched directly into my Roselia to hopefully start getting up some layers of spikes. But he makes a very good double switch into the Zangoose, expecting me to bring in Roselia, and I just have to choose something on my team that wants to die. And at this point, Sock is kind of the least helpful thing to me on my team, so I fought that off, allowing me to get a free switch into my Charizard, and I'm going to go straight for the Fire Blast, because even if he brings in the Alomomola, it's still going to do a pretty good amount of damage. And just look at that, that's like 35-40% easily. And I can actually take him out this turn with a Hidden Power Grass, but I thought that he would bring in the Vileplume or the Ampharos, expecting me to do that, which is why I actually switched into my Roselia, but he actually ends up staying in and going for the Toxic. So I don't know if he predicted me to over-predict or what, or he was just firing off Alomomola. Either way, this damn thing is going to be around for the remainder of this battle. But hey, it's fine, because now I can get up a free layer of spikes as he brings in the Vileplume, which can easily take a Giga Drain and a Sludge Bomb from my Roselia. But I know that Mike is more than likely going to expect me to go for my second layer of spikes, which is why I'm actually going to go for the Sludge Bomb, predicting him to bring in the Zangoose, and I get off a huge hit on this giant threat, and because of the layers of spikes, I know that he is going to be forced to leave in his Zangoose, so I'm just going to switch into my Tauros basically as fodder, because I know that my Mischievous will easily be able to set up a substitute on his Vileplume or his Alomomola, and then I can go for a Nasty Plot and just start doing some damage to his team. But he actually ends up going for the Night Slash, which isn't a bad play whatsoever, just because if my Mischievous was max defense, max HP, then I would have brought that in. But yeah, that is not the case, and I'm able to keep my Tauros around for the remainder of this battle as he brings in the Alomomola. I'm actually going to go for the Toxic. Unfortunately though, I missed, but the miss really doesn't end up mattering whatsoever, although it would have been nice to get that residual damage on his Alomomola. Either way, I'm just going to switch directly into my Roselia, as he actually ends up making a very good play by passing off the Wish to his Ampharos, because at this point, Ampharos is really the only thing standing in my Charizard's way from plowing through the remainder of his team. So I'm just going to stand and go for a Lair Spikes, just wanting to start getting some residual damage on his Pokemon, well, his last remaining Pokemon, as he goes through the Hidden Power Ice. And judging from that damage, this thing is definitely Specs, because that did way too much damage to my max HP, max special defense Roselia. As he goes for the second Hidden Power Ice, he's going to be able to knock me out. I actually get really lucky by getting the Poison Hacks, but you're going to see that that doesn't really end up mattering whatsoever, and I'll make sure to point out why it doesn't, because now I can get a free switch into my Tauros, and I'm just going to go for the Double Edge, because I really have no reason not to, because even if it brings in the Alomomola and I die off to my own recoil, that gives me a free switch into my Mischievous, but it actually brings in the Vileplume, thinking that I would go for the Toxic, which I guess isn't too bad of a play, but really, I have no reason to Toxic, because at this point, Mischievous basically wins me the battle. If not, then I can do enough damage to his team where my Charizard can come in and just clean up. So after I knock the Vileplume, he's going to bring in the Alomomola, and he knows I'm going to die off to my own recoil damage, so he's going to make the safe play by going for the Wish, although now I get this very well needed free switch into my Mischievous, and I know that he might just go for the Toxic, so this basically gives me a free substitute. But he makes a very good play by passing off the Wish to his Ampharos, which again is the only thing standing in my Charizard's way right now. But because my Mischievous is almost max special attack, I know that after +2 I will be able to get off enough damage with the Shadow Ball to the Ampharos, bringing it down to a point where I can easily bring in my Charizard and knock it out with the Fire Blast, which is why the fact that I got the poison with the Sludge Bomb does not matter whatsoever, because this Shadow Ball does more than enough damage to the point where it's going to be brought down to easily be revenge killed by my Charizard. As he goes for Thunderbolt, I live, but he gets the paralysis, which I'm not gonna lie, was a little frustrating, because I wanted to finish off the game with sub Nasty Plot Mischievous, because who honestly uses sub Nasty Plot Mischievous? Nobody. But hey, it's fine, because I can now finish it off with Charizard, which is going to be able to easily one-hit KO this Alomomola with the Hidden Power Grass, except not really, because Alomomola is too damn bulky. But he ends up going for the Toxic. Now, if you went for the Waterfall, it wouldn't have mattered, because I still would have been able to live and still have lived the recoil damage from the Life Orb. So yeah, either way, Charizard won me the battle at that point, and that's the very narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. So yeah, minus the dumb plays me and him both made, it was actually a really good, intense battle. I definitely hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully the narration wasn't too bad. And make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to see more content. And with that, I will hopefully see you guys soon. So I'm out of here. Later.